At one particular time, I did talk about I did say Terence Crawford.
Okay.
Now, but what are we rating these fighters on? What are we rating these fighters on?
Floyd Mayweather's eyeball test.
That works.
You're eyeballing these guys. You watch Terence Crawford. You know why he has a problem getting the other welterweights in the ring with him.
Yeah, so if he was pound for pound, Floyd was pound for pound. You or Floyd, who would have done that? Who would have won that?
Me. Because I think Floyd at his best was a better defensive fighter than Crawford. Crawford's a better offensive fighter, but in those kind of matchups, I think defense usually beats the offense.
Floyd Mayweather has now responded to Terence Crawford in a recent interview, arguing that Crawford doesn't deserve a place on the pound-for-pound list. On the other hand, Stephen A. Smith maintains that Crawford is the top fighter in the world right now, the true pound-for-pound king. In the four-belt era, Crawford has reinforced that status by becoming a unified and undisputed world champion.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era.
Furthermore, Oscar de la Hoya stated that Floyd Mayweather is the best trainer he has ever worked with. He added that if Mayweather were ever to face Terence Crawford, he would reinvent his approach, refine his entire style, and return as a completely different fighter, showing just how exceptional Floyd truly is.
Floyd, for me, is the best trainer I've ever had in my life. He would revitalize his style. He would make him a new fighter. That's how great Floyd is.
However, Max Kellerman stated that at his peak, Floyd Mayweather was still the superior defensive fighter compared to Terence Crawford, while Crawford holds the advantage offensively. But in matchups like these, Kellerman noted that elite defense usually prevails over offense.
I think Floyd at his best was a better defensive fighter than Crawford. Crawford's a better offensive fighter, but in those kind of matchups, I think defense usually beats the offense.
Additionally, Robert Garcia noted that although Terence Crawford made history by becoming undisputed in a true prime versus prime matchup, he would still favor Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao in a head-to-head scenario. Even so, Garcia continues to rank Crawford among the all-time greats.
Mayweather never became undisputed. He's a 5-division champion, but never became undisputed. Never really followed that unification, stuff like that. So I think when it comes to accomplishments, I think he's already done more. In a fight, I probably still pick Mayweather. Both in the prime, I would probably pick Mayweather to win. Just like I would probably pick Pacquiao to win, both in the prime.
Ooh, to beat Crawford.
Yeah, I think so.
Prime for prime? Nice.
Yeah. But is Crawford one of the greatest of all time? 100%. There definitely he is.
Danny Garcia explained that since Mayweather is nearly a decade older than Crawford, a truly competitive matchup wouldn't make sense. However, he believes an exhibition clash between them would be chaotic, entertaining, and surprisingly fitting as an idea.
It'd be hard. I mean, they're not that separated in age, right?
I think Terence is 38. I think Floyd, I am not sure he's either 10 years older or 12 years older. I don't know if he's 48 or 50.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get the best Floyd, so I don't think it makes sense.
Exhibition would be crazy. Actually.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Exhibition would be crazy, actually.
Yeah, I think that'll make a lot of sense.
Errol Spence Jr. noted that Floyd Mayweather's sharp ring intelligence and renowned skill set elevate him above others, which is why he considers Floyd one of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport.
It's different because, Floyd's just different. I feel like he's the best fighter. I don't know about all time. He might be the best fighter all time. If not, he's close 2-3, and not by far. So it's just it's a little bit different things that Floyd does. And Floyd was a lot older when I sparred him, and it's just certain things that he does that that's really tricky. Like the guy we get in the clinch, he was like squeezing my nose and I couldn't breathe and stuff like that. So it's just certain things that he do in there. It's just veteran stuff, just veteran all-time type stuff he was doing in house party.
He further added that although a matchup between Crawford and Mayweather can only exist in theory, Floyd's mental advantage is what separates him from everyone else. leaving him unmatched in that department.
It would beat Crawford, would you think? I know that's just a fantasy matchup.
Man, I don't know.
I'm reaching,
I don't get into all that.
Yeah.
I don't know who went out. Sugar Ray Robinson and Floyd. I don't know, man.
But Floyd was the best work, just like mental games, everything.
Oh yeah, mentally, by far, I feel like he's the best. He's the best mentally.
If Mayweather and Terence Crawford had met in their primes, Floyd would likely have emerged victorious by breaking Crawford down with sharp jabs, precise hooks, relentless body work, and trademark defensive mastery, ultimately taking control of the fight in the later rounds.
Just hypothetically speaking, just looking at, two fighters, you got Floyd and you got Crawford in their prime. Who you picking?
Can we all give an opinion on that?
Yeah, you want to?
Yeah, I got an opinion on that too.
Coach, what you think?
I'm listening to you, Rep.
Floyd versus a prime Mayweather. We can go Pretty Boy. We can go Money May versus Terence Crawford in his prime. Who we got?
I think Money May would have shut Crawford down. He would have bored him to sleep like he do these fighters.
Yeah.
He would have jabbed him, hooked him, just sticking in the body. You know what I'm saying? And then when the fighters swing back, Floyd nowhere to be found. So mentally, they're draining.
Yeah.
And about the 6th or 7th round, that's when you start picking up, putting the combination together.
MMA analyst Luke Thomas explained that although Terence Crawford's rise came later in his career, he still considers Crawford one of the most refined defensive fighters of all time. Someone who can track, pressure, and shut down opponents no matter where they move, shift, or circle inside the ring.
With Bud's career, right, it bloomed kind of late. I find Bud to be as defensively sound as I've ever seen a fighter. He can find you. There's nowhere to hide with him.
Like Floyd, he has such control over the terms in there. It's just insane.
The issue with Bud's career is that it peaked later than expected. I consider him one of the most defensively polished fighters I've ever seen. He always finds his target. There's no escaping him. Like Floyd Mayweather, he controls every aspect inside the ring, which is truly remarkable.
That's why I say that. Bud is extremely skilled, right? Yet not as skilled as Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather made people look foolish, right? And so if I had to say who's the greatest I've seen, and Bud said it right, the best of an era and the best of an era, it's Floyd. But when I watched Bud against Canelo, there was this extreme skill on display, and there was a level of crazy that's different. There was a level of, and Floyd's extremely tough. Go back to Shane Mosley and the 2 punches he landed early in the fight and the way that he embarrassed him. I'm not saying that Floyd's not tough. Floyd's not a bad man. But there was domination inside that ring we saw this week.
Ryan Clark stated that Floyd Mayweather was the defining fighter of his era, consistently outclassing opponents with unmatched skill and mental toughness, ultimately becoming the ultimate symbol of dominance in boxing throughout the 2000s.
There's no fear in him in the way that he's attacked, gaining notoriety. Bud's been the baddest man for 12 years. But no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the baddest man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fights and the better fights. And he was Errol Spence. We realized just how great he was. Canelo cemented him on what is the two-headed monster that marks the greatest of the 2000s. Floyd Mayweather is on that, and Bud Crawford is right next to him. I don't think we have to pick on who's better. I think they both dominated their eras.
He added that Terence Crawford has shown his own excellence by convincingly defeating top fighters like Errol Spence and Canelo, demonstrating not only his courage, but also his world-class skill and elite talent.
Because, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time.
Oh, yes.
That makes a difference.
Max Kellerman noted that while Floyd Mayweather's career accomplishments are more extensive, Terence Crawford has demonstrated a greater willingness and readiness to take on any opponent throughout his career.
Remember, Canelo that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. CJ Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course.
Yeah, nobody had it.
And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he took him, into deep waters. So
what was Canelo? What, 20 something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.